Hi, I'm live from DragonsAteOurName, and today I will be ranking story-driven games that I have never played myself, but that I have watched Let's Plays of. So I will mostly be judging these games for my enjoyment of the story during the playthrough and not for the gameplay, because I have never played it, so I have no idea if the gameplay is actually fun. My ranking list, as you can see, has some unique namings. We have Gold Dragon, Fantasy Dragon, Paper Dragon, and the Gecko, which is, of course, a fake dragon, so it is not a good dragon. Let's get into some games. Ghost of Tsushima. Now, I will be putting this in the Fantasy Dragon category. It was a pretty cool game from what I could tell by watching Let's Plays of it. Really unique setting that they nailed 100%. It was a very, very solid story. At times a bit tropey, which is one of the reasons why it is not in a Gold Dragon category.
If you continue down this path, you will be no better than the Mongols. I trained you to fight with honor.
Honor died on the beach. The Khan deserves to suffer.
Also, what I found just by watching it was what I call a little bit of Ubisoftness. So the map was very big, very cool, extremely gorgeous. It was just an astonishing game to look at. But there was also a lot going on the map, which reminded me a lot of the Ubisoft open world games that we have, where there's just a lot of busy work, but not actually something going on. I know that this game does a lot of that better than any Ubisoft game. I'm not saying that, but I still found that while watching, you did end up doing a lot of the same things over and over, which is just not something that I really enjoy as a player. So that's why it's in the Fantasy Dragon and not the Gold Dragon. But what a solid game. I really hope there will be a part 2. I will definitely be watching it. Next game! Insryption. I really wish that I would have known that this game was made by the same dude who did the Hex, because I played this on this channel, and that was such a cool game. I have never seen anything like that. So meta, so unique. And I would have played this on the channel if I had known, but I didn't. I completely missed out on it and just ended up watching someone play it. It's an amazing game. It's also gonna go into the Fantasy Dragon category, because I think the game is maybe 1 or 2 hours too long. It was still amazing, especially in the beginning, once you realized you could stand up off of the chair and walk around in the room. It was so cool. And the meta story, it's amazing. If you have not played it and you like weird meta stories, get it and play it. Nothing else needs to be said. Off to the next game. What Remains of Edith Finch. I have cried watching this game so hard. Kinda wish that it had come out at a time where I had the channel, because I would have loved to play this on the channel, but this is one of those games you can't really play once you've experienced the story once. It's just so raw and so emotional, and you need to be in that moment. So if anyone who hasn't played the game and wants an emotional experience through a family's life, go get this game. By God, it is heartbreaking. And by God, would you have seen me cry again if I had ever played this on the channel? Now, I don't think anyone will be surprised that I will be putting this into the Gold Dragon category. Next game! God of War. The 2018 edition that came out originally for PlayStation, and I think not long ago made its way onto PC as well. And of course, this year we'll see the release of God of War Ragnarok, and I know that a lot of people are looking forward to this. Now, for my enjoyment of the story, it was extremely solid, extremely well acted. If you've watched me for a while, and especially my The Forgotten City Let's Play, then you will know I'm a huge Stargate SG-1 fan.
Indeed.
So Christopher Judge in the role as Kratos will always draw me in. It was never something that I considered playing for myself, but that I definitely wanted to just watch and see, and it was really, really cool. It will also go into the fantasy dragon category. Why? Because while this does hit emotional marks and it does it well, I think other games do it better, and that's kind of what I look for in a game. I just like emotional attachment and emotional rawness. And while this game definitely has some of that, it doesn't quite go that distance for me. For now, it'll stay in the Fantasy Dragon category. It is a solid game. It is a really, really good game, and I look forward to watching God of War Ragnarok when it comes out. Next game. Detroit Become Human. I will try to keep this short because I hate this game, probably to an unreasonable amount. I just think it does not treat its themes with the earnestness and the seriousness that it should. I think it takes visual reference from historical events it should definitely not take visual reference from. The writer, director, maker of this game, David Cage, could not write a woman if his life depended on it. Also, he's apparently a garbage person, so I do not feel bad putting this game in the fake dragon category. I hate it. I just hate it. Next game! Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, which is a relatively new title that has made its way onto several lists of best story-driven games, and in my opinion, it kind of deserved it. I will put it also in the Fantasy Dragon category. I do think it's a little bit weaker than, let's say, God of War or Insryption. But the Guardians of the Galaxy, it was a fun story. It had really, really cool characters that I personally liked much more than in the movies, because the game just has more time that could be devoted to them. It also had kind of the same problem that Insryption had, in that it was too long, in my opinion. It should have ended maybe 2 hours before it actually did. But otherwise, an extremely solid game if you want just a fun romp through the galaxy and have some quirky characters, some really funny lines. You should definitely get this if you haven't played it, or watch it like I did, because that's what I'm ranking here. Next game! Kentucky Road Zero. For all of you who have been on this channel for a while, this will absolutely not be a surprise to you. It goes into the Gold Dragon category. It's so unique, so surreal, so touching in a way. The music is absolutely incredible. What they did with the camera is so unique and so cool. And this is definitely one of those games that will not be everyone's cup of tea. I think you have to be in a specific mood to play something so surreal. But I think it pays off. I think it is very beautiful. In a couple of years' time, I want to play this game for myself. And it's so good. It's so good. Next game! Life is Strange 2. I have a very, let's say, strenuous relationship with the Life is Strange franchise as a whole. I did not like the first game. I played that myself back in the day when it came out. My problem with it was that I did not care for the whole teenage drama aspect of the game, and the interesting thing tended to happen maybe in the first 10 minutes of any episode and then in the last 10 minutes of any episode. And if you have like 3 hours in between where you're just bored, it's not good. Now, the second game suffers from a different problem, in my opinion, in that the episodes just feel completely detached from each other. They set something up in the first episode. I think they kind of knew how they wanted to resolve it, but then didn't do much for getting there until the last episode. So the episodes in between were just filler episodes and they didn't know what to do with them. That was my personal experience while watching this game. It also had problems with its theming again, the same thing that I dislike about Detroit Become Human, and that it took a very serious issue of racism and hate against immigrants and just painted that with a very broad brush. And I think that was a very missed opportunity. It's not a surprise if I put this in a paper dragon category, I think. It is still better than Detroit Become Human, because everything is better than Detroit Become Human. Next game! Stray! The cat game that everybody has been playing the last month. I think on my dashboard alone, it was like 6 people playing it. It was everywhere. I put this game in this ranking list because it is not yet on any list, but it definitely should be, and I think it will be, given some time. But yeah, the story is not only cute, but also gets very creepy at times, which I don't think most people expected when they bought the cute cat game. But it just was really, really good, and it told its story so well. It had a very good emotional climax that I will not spoil, because this game is still very, very new. I have a bit of a problem with this one, because I really, really did like it, and I think with how concise it is, and how extremely cute it is, and how well it tells its story, it should be Gold Dragon potential. On the other hand, I kind of feel like it isn't quite on the level that I would put What Remains of Edith, Finch, and Kentucky Road Zero on. But it's also better than, let's say, God of War, in my opinion. Let's be generous. Let's put it into the Gold Dragon category and be happy with it. Next game! The Last of Us Part 2. I have a story to tell about this one. Because originally I wanted to play The Last of Us 2 on the channel. I even bought a capture card for exactly that reason. But then I thought I should really play the first one, just so I know what kind of gameplay would await me in the new part, and also to really experience the story of the first one for myself. So I sat down, bought the first game, played it, and absolutely hated it. I know not a lot of people will say this, but I hate the gameplay of the first one. I just have this problem with a lot of PlayStation exclusive games that I just cannot get into the gameplay. I also had that problem with Horizon Zero Dawn, Infamous Second Son, Uncharted. I played the first one to maybe the halfway point and then said, this is not for me, I'm just gonna watch someone else play this, and then decided to do exactly the same thing for the second game. And that was the absolute right decision, because I love The Last of Us Part 2. I know a lot of people do not. I do not care. I think this game is amazing. I think it hits its themes perfectly and tells its story in exactly the way it wants to tell it, even though I'm sure they were aware that a lot of people would be very unhappy with the direction the game takes. If you do not want spoilers for this game, maybe just skip ahead a while. Killing of Joel did not go over well with a lot of fans. I personally think it was really effective. I think it really showed that violence always begets violence. And in its messaging, it's very brutal, it's very graphic.
Please stop! No!
But I think that was necessary. I think it told a very good story. I cannot wait to see what they come up with part 3. And I think that will probably close off the story with Ellie. It is also so unashamedly queer, which is not something that we get in a lot of AAA games. So I appreciate that. It gets bonus points for that aspect of the story, and I'm not even gonna lie about it. Yeah, I just think it is a really, really good game. Cannot wait for part 3. And that concludes my ranking list. So now I just wait for the internet to scream at me for how wrong I am about my personal, subjective opinions. Tell me, how would you have ranked these games? Have you played some of them? Have you maybe also just watched some of them? What are the games that you love to watch but would never have wanted to play? That's really interesting for me to know. So thank you so much for watching. Please, please, please stay safe, stay healthy. Bye bye und auf Wiedersehen.